Tonight, Canada's iconic Snowbirds grounded.
It's emotional. And we owe so much to this team.
The difficult decision to retire the aging planes, when the show could fly again, and the potential plan for the pilots. Police say the 3 men shot at a California mosque died, saving the lives of those inside.
He was sacrificing his life and took that bullet knowing that I'd rather take it than the kids.
How the 2 teen shooters met and were radicalized. No travel ban or airport testing here in Canada amid the Ebola outbreak on the continent of Africa.
I'm deeply concerned about the scale and the speed of the epidemic.
The spread causing global alarm.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. After more than 5 decades of displaying national pride in the skies, Canada's Snowbird shows will be put on pause later this year. The beloved aerobatic flying unit are getting a brand new fleet, but that won't happen until 2030 at the earliest. The defense minister says the aircraft are far past their lifespan and they have to be replaced despite a $30 million plan to keep them flying. Ashley Burke shows us the emotional pushback and why the government says it needed to act right now.
It's an iconic symbol in Canada, the Snowbirds painting the sky. But after more than half a century in the air, the show will soon be grounded for years.
The Snowbirds will be temporarily stood down following the conclusion of the 2026 show season.
The government suspending the show until it replaces the aging planes.
I inherited a situation where the planes literally had come to the end of their lives. They were unique in many respects. They didn't have the parts and other things to safely fly.
The planes were built in the 60s, and the government has long faced warnings they needed to be replaced. In 2021, the Liberals announced a $30 million plan to keep them flying until 2030, but it was scrapped after work was underway.
Feasibility studies were done, and there are some engineering challenges because of the age of the aircraft that have changed that situation.
The government has selected these Swiss-made turboprop planes as the replacement. The defense minister wants to have them by the early 2030s.
This is not a long 3 or 4 or 5 year process of procurement. We know what aircraft we're going to be procuring. We're moving quickly to do so, and we'll obtain them as quickly as we can.
Yeah, it's emotional.
For former Snowbird commanders, it's a difficult day.
We've had hundreds, perhaps over 1,000 members serve on this team. And they've done so with grace and dignity and pride. And it has to continue. Simple as that.
You cannot put this operational expertise on a shelf and then take it back in 2 or 3 years.
The Conservatives say it's illogical to ground the show right now.
While we're being challenged with our national identity and our sovereignty, this is not the time to be sacrificing those kind of iconic symbols that mean so much to our country.
You have to make some tough calls.
This defense expert says the decision shows just how much pressure the Air Force is under.
I think this is probably one of those where if they really knuckled down, you could have kept that fleet going, but does it really make that much sense?
This is all unfolding during the Air Force's biggest modernization since the Cold War, is trying to introduce a range of new aircraft with a shortage of personnel.
And so, Ashley, Snowbird pilots are being reallocated to other jobs in the Air Force. What difference will that make?
Well, Adrian, that expert Dave Perry says even if they moved a few dozen Snowbird pilots to other roles, that it could make a difference. They have a lot of experience, and it's going to take time to train other people up. At this point, it's still not clear exactly how long it could be before the Snowbirds take flight again.
All right, thank you. That is Ashley Burke in Ottawa tonight. So we'll have more on this later in the program, including Canadian reaction to the grounding of the Snowbirds and what has to go right for them to fly again. Well, we're learning more tonight about the 3 people killed in a shooting at a California mosque. Officials say the victims died heroes. Lisa Shing now with how the men delayed and distracted the shooters, likely saving countless lives.
A growing memorial outside San Diego's largest mosque where 3 people were shot dead Monday. A young student trapped inside when it began, still trying to process what happened.
I felt a bit scared. My legs were shaking in my hands. And my head was like hurting me a lot. I felt like a rock.
Police responded to a report of an active shooter at the mosque, which also houses a school. Investigators say the 3 men killed near the entrance are heroes. One of them, Amin Abdullah, a security guard and father of 8.
His actions, without a doubt, delayed, distracted, and ultimately deterred.
Police say he engaged in a gunfight with the 17 and 18-year-old suspects and warned people inside.
I truly know in my heart from knowing that man that he was sacrificing his life and took that bullet knowing that I'd rather take it than the kids.
The 2 other men, community elder Mansour Kaziha and Nader Awad, who called 911, caught the attention of the shooters before they were targeted.
They were hiding in the parking lot next to the kitchen. They tried to do something to protect.
Several blocks away, police found a white SUV. Inside, 2 teenagers believed to be the shooters, dead. Investigators say one of their mothers called police that morning, warning her son was suicidal, dressed in camo, and her vehicle was gone. They searched several properties and seized 30 firearms, ammunition, and a crossbow. Police say the shooters met and were radicalized online.
I can confirm there has been a manifesto that's been recovered. They didn't discriminate on who they hated. It covered a wide aspect of races and religions.
Experts say anti-Muslim hate online has increased.
Online rhetoric results in offline violence, and I just want to emphasize that they're directly correlated. It's really scary.
Officials are investigating the shooting as a hate crime and are calling the city to come together to support the victims' families and the Muslim community. Lisa Sheng, CBC News, Toronto.
The World Health Organization is expressing deep concern about the growing Ebola outbreak in Congo. The United States is imposing travel restrictions, but as Christine Birak explains, Canada is taking a different approach.
With health workers now dying from a rare strain of Ebola, officials warn the situation is worsening.
I'm deeply concerned about the scale and the speed of the epidemic.
The Ebola outbreak in eastern DR Congo has killed at least 130 people. There are more than 500 suspected cases. Most of them are in mining towns where people are moving across borders. At least 1 death has also been reported in Uganda.
And there is 1 U.S. citizen confirmed positive and transferred to Germany, as reported by the U.S.
His name is Dr. Peter Stafford. The American missionary tested positive for the virus after treating patients in an affected area.
So very serious measures.
The Trump administration says at least 6 other Americans may have also been exposed to Ebola. The virus enters the body and targets key immune cells, hijacking them to multiply and turn them into virus factories, while simultaneously weakening the body's ability to fight back.
I'm concerned about everything.
The U.S. has now banned travel from 3 African countries as the outbreak spreads. In an email, the Public Health Agency of Canada says it's monitoring the outbreak, saying there has never been an imported case of Ebola disease into Canada. The agency also points to updated information on its website. Travelers returning to Canada from affected areas should self-monitor their health for 21 days. If you begin to feel sick after you return to Canada, you should call your public health authority.
Ultimately, most of the Ebola outbreaks have been contained through public health, case identification, quarantine, and control.
Before that happens, many experts expect the number of deaths and cases in African countries will rise dramatically.
You could have 1,000 by the end of the week or into next week.
Based on an international treaty that Canada helped shape after the SARS outbreak in 2003, the World Health Organization is urging countries not to close their doors. The World Health Organization says travel bans stigmatize people, they hurt trade, and they discourage countries from disclosing outbreaks in the first place.
The thing about stigma that I would add is that it doesn't just come from a travel ban, particularly with Ebola. In 2014, I was part of a crew who went to Liberia to cover the Ebola crisis there. When we came back, had to self-isolate for 21 days, check in daily with local health authorities, with our temperature reading, did all the things, and still the stigma around us even was pretty acute. So we all have a lot more work to do in the education space around this. But it does make me wonder what's going to happen when so many people are traveling for the World Cup.
Absolutely. The fear gets really high. And the Public Health Agency of Canada says that it was assessing the risk of an Ebola case landing here during the World Cup. Initially, that risk was low, but things have changed. With this emergency declaration, they now say they're doing a rapid reassessment, and they want to make sure that the appropriate protocols are in place, and they want to be ready in case an Ebola case does land here.
All right, Christine Barak, thank you.
Thank you.
In Nunavut today, a major mining announcement. The owner of the Hope Bay Gold Mine project has laid out its plans to redevelop the site and potentially create more than 2,000 jobs. So the project includes work on the processing facility, several kilometers of underground development, and the addition of a diesel generator power plant. The Minister of Energy was also on hand to announce $25 million in federal funding for a wind project at the mining site to provide cleaner electricity. Well, there is new doubt being raised tonight about the much-touted new Churchill Falls energy deal inked between Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador. As Julia Israel explains, a new report says it has serious flaws.
Just over a year ago, a promise to make history. A decades-old energy deal between Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador was ripped up to make way for a new one centered around the Churchill Falls power station. But now an independent review committee has found it's not in the public's best interest.
If the price tag for tearing up one bad deal is being forced to sign a second bad deal, then we will be consigning our children and grandchildren to continue living under the shadow of the 1969 agreement.
The old contract, long loathed in Newfoundland and Labrador, allows it to sell mass amounts of electricity to Quebec for cheap until 2041. The new tentative agreement would update and expand the existing power station and build a new one downstream, the long-awaited Gull Island development. But after months of digging through the fine print, the agreement is on even shakier ground.
We're going to build on the parts that work and fix the parts that don't.
They point to problematic pricing models, what they call Hydro-Quebec's conflict of interest as both shareholder and major customer, and the restriction on energy transmission through Quebec to reach export markets. The deal was signed by a Liberal government, now in opposition. Its leader agrees there are changes to be made.
People just need to realize that the MOU was a framework. It wasn't necessarily going to be put into final agreements. It would have formed the backbone of that, and there would have been some give and take as negotiations continued based on the MOU.
The Premier insists the province is committed to moving forward.
We're not tearing anything up, and we're not starting over from scratch.
Quebec's government also sees a future for the agreement.
We think that it is possible to have a final agreement with the government of Newfoundland, which will be, yet again, a win-win agreement for both of our provinces.
But Quebec's provincial election is coming up in the fall, so political change could be another factor in how or if this deal proceeds. Julia Israel, CBC News, St. John's.
The Premier of BC is set to meet with the Prime Minister tomorrow morning, and he has a message to deliver.
The message to the Prime Minister is simple. This country cannot work if separatist premiers, others get all of the attention of the federal government, and those provinces where we're standing squarely behind Canada, where we're fighting for Canada, where we couldn't be more pro-Canadian in the projects we're advancing, where we're left out of the discussion.
His comments come after Mark Carney signed an energy deal with Alberta's Premier last week that paves the way for a pipeline as a potential separatism referendum looms. Eby says, quote, bad behavior shouldn't decide who the federal government engages with. Well, the Prime Minister insists defense cooperation between Canada and the U.S. will continue after the U.S. announced it is pausing a joint defense board that has been around since 1940.
I mean, it has a long heritage, but I wouldn't overplay the importance of this. Where we have many aspects of very close defense cooperation with the United States.
Mark Carney says Canada will continue to ramp up defense spending after a senior U.S. official accused this country of not making, quote, credible progress on defense commitments. Well, in Washington, the acting Attorney General defended a $1.8 billion fund that critics say is just a slush fund for Trump allies. The administration says it is meant to pay people prosecuted by past Democratic governments. But as Aaron Collins shows us, opponents say it is a political payoff.
It's coming out, I think, incredibly.
At the White House Tuesday, Donald Trump defending his $400 million ballroom.
This is not going to be paid for by the taxpayer.
But down the road at the Capitol, the president's acting attorney general defending a $1.8 billion fund American taxpayers will be on the hook for.
This is an outrageous, unprecedented slush fund that you set up.
The Justice Department's so-called anti-weaponization fund, one part of a settlement ending Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. The cash would compensate people claiming to be wronged by previous administrations, potentially including convicted January 6th rioters, hundreds of whom Trump has already pardoned.
Will individuals who assaulted Capitol Hill police officers be eligible for this fund?
Anybody in this country is eligible to apply.
Democrats already moving to block the settlement, calling it a sham.
He made a deal with himself.
Other lawyers questioning it too.
The fund appears completely arbitrary, and it's not even clear that there's authority for this fund to be established. And so we believe, again, that the fund is unlawful.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And some Republicans have questions too.
There are and will be, continue to be, a lot of questions around that the administration is going to have to answer.
Okay. I want to ask you about that $1.8 billion fund.
But the vice president says he has all the answers he needs.
If we think that somebody was unfairly prosecuted and deserves just compensation, then that's what this fund is going to exist to provide. It's just going to correct a wrong.
On top of the anti-weaponization fund, the Justice Department said Tuesday that the IRS would also have to stop any investigations into Trump's tax returns as part of the settlement. The IRS will also have to issue a formal apology to the president. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Washington.
The eldest son of the billionaire founder of clothing empire Mango has been arrested in connection with his father's death.
Hola, 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 hola.
45-year-old Jonathan Andik was later released on bail of €1 million. Charges have not been laid. A family statement says they believe he is innocent. 71-year-old Isaac Andik plunged to his death during a hike with Jonathan near Barcelona in 2024. The incident was initially deemed accidental, but it is now being investigated as a homicide. With a deadly Ebola outbreak underway, how prepared is Canada for a future pandemic?
COVID told us that, pandemics don't observe borders.
The new warnings for health agencies around the world. Gas prices are driving rising inflation.
My full tank is almost $50. Like earlier it was just 37.
When some relief may be coming. Plus, here's one way to get around the high cost of fuel.
It has functioning pedals, gas, stop, the brakes, the steering wheel.
We're back in 2. CBC says it is pulling that long-running Cars for Kids ads and the familiar jingle from the airwaves after a California court banned them for being misleading. A judge found the ads implied consumers would be donating to American kids, but the charity funds a Jewish organization whose programs include matchmaking and gap year trips to Israel for teens. While inflation in Canada jumped last month by the highest amount in nearly 2 years, driven by soaring gas prices. New numbers from Statistics Canada show the annual inflation rate rose to 2.8% in April. Nisha Patel now with the impact and why some economists say this could get worse.
Sky-high prices at the pump are squeezing Canadians.
I think they're crazy.
Can't really control it, but yeah, it's unfortunate for sure.
Money that I could be putting towards groceries and stuff is going towards gas now.
Despite the federal government dropping the fuel excise tax, gas prices jumped 28.6% last month from the same time a year ago. Prices soared as the conflict in the Middle East dragged on. That pushed up the overall inflation rate to 2.8% in April, the highest level in nearly 2 years.
we're still expecting another couple months of real pressure here. I do think inflation is probably going to poke its head above 3% in the next couple months.
Still, food and rent inflation is actually cooling, and analysts say energy inflation hasn't spread to other parts of the economy so far.
Whether it's fertilizer prices or the packaging, distribution, moving food around, takes a lot of energy to grow food. There still could be a bit of a sting in the tail here for broader inflation. So I don't think anybody's relaxing yet.
While the Bank of Canada says it plans to look past a short-term spike, rising inflation remains a serious concern.
If energy prices go higher, and particularly if they stay higher for longer, there could well be a need to increase the policy rate to get inflation back to 2%.
The national average gas price is up to $1.88 a liter, and that's hitting some hard.
It has gone literally up, especially I'm doing Uber and other ride-sharing apps. My full tank is almost $50. Earlier it was just $37. I got it full tank, but now it's like $55 to $60.
Experts say if oil prices stay above $100 a barrel into June, higher prices could spread and spark broader inflation across the economy. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News is in Texas looking into controversial ICE detentions of families.
On a lot of days, they'll be like, make the choice. Is it going to be you, mom, or you, dad? Like, we're going to detain one or the other, and it's usually dad.
We meet a teenager detained for weeks. And there is concern tonight about big changes for Canada's Snowbirds.
I think our big fear is they say they have a replacement airplane. It's coming somewhere in the next 5 years. The question is, will there be some other priority that will come up?
The National breaks down the story shaping our world. Next. You are looking at a possible tornado in Belmont, Ontario, just south of London. A severe thunderstorm hit the area earlier today, knocking out power and leaving a trail of damage. At one point, Environment Canada did issue a tornado warning, but that has since been lifted. Well, a new report warns the world is not ready for the next pandemic. Karen Pauls explains why and looks at how prepared Canada is.
As Ebola spreads in Central Africa, and public health officials are still dealing with a deadly outbreak of Andes hantavirus, this warning.
We definitely are not ready for the next pandemic.
A new report from a WHO-appointed board says there's still not equitable access to diagnostics, vaccines, and therapeutics, putting everyone at risk.
COVID told us that, pandemics don't observe borders.
This expert says the frequency of these zoonotic or animal-to-human viruses is increasing.
Mother Nature is not being coy with us. She's telling us exactly what she has planned for us.
First, there was SARS, then MERS, Ebola, COVID-19, Mpox, and H5N1, and now Andes hantavirus and Ebola.
We have to recognize that this is a new normal.
All this as the United States has slashed funding for vaccine research and withdrawn from the WHO. Virologists like this one are worried.
Because we're effectively going into a situation where it's like everyone for themselves. We're going to be in real trouble if a virus emerges someplace where we're not equipped to deal with it.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, Canada had outdated plans, weak data sharing systems, and poorly managed vaccine stockpiles. But the Public Health Agency says it's addressed those vulnerabilities.
There's a lot of emphasis going into public health research and preparedness. No one country and no one lab will be able to do this all by themselves.
And that's why the report has 3 urgent recommendations. Establish a permanent, independent body to track pandemic risk. Finalize an agreement to share vaccines, tests, and treatments. And sustainable funding for prevention, preparedness, and response. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
In the breakdown tonight, an up-close look at how ICE uses detention centers, and nostalgia soars as the Snowbirds will be grounded. Canada's iconic squadron needs new planes.
It will take some time for them to roll off the production line, but we're moving as quickly as we possibly can.
A good time to look at the place of the Snowbirds in the Canadian imagination. But first,
You get to a point where you think you'll never get out of there.
A teenager tells CBC News about his 4 months in a Texas ICE detention center.
The only rationale you can come up with is to create suffering.
We're on the ground at the focal point of a mass deportation campaign. From detainees themselves to the lawyers and pastors trying to help them, Jonathan Monpetit looks at the tactics, the trauma, and the allegations of abuse.
So we're just pulling into San Antonio. It's one of the cities where ICE has been the most active recently. And it's in the state, Texas, which has the most immigration detention centers in the U.S.
We head to one of the spots in San Antonio where ICE has been routinely arresting immigrants.
So Amanda, where are we and what's happening behind us?
So we are at the San Antonio ICE field office. And what happens here is people who are in court proceedings, meaning they came into the country seeking some sort of immigration benefit. They all come in here to check in to ensure their addresses are up to date and that they're going to their court hearings.
We meet Amanda Aguilar, a lawyer for a Texas nonprofit that does pro bono work for immigrants. She tells us that what were once routine check-ins are now filled with anxiety.
Some people get called inside. What happens when they go inside?
When they're taken inside, they are reviewing their case, is what ICE will say, is we need to review your case. And basically that means they are making a decision on whether to detain them. But what's the sad reality is like nothing that they're doing, whether they're paying their taxes, driving only with a license, insuring their cars, showing up to their check-ins, going to court, none of that matters. It's who can we detain today and who do we have space for?
Garcia. Victor.
And so how many of these people here, like on an average day, would end up in detention?
It's probably like 60 people will come each morning, and then probably 10, but you never know. I've seen mom separated from husband. On a lot of days, they'll be like, make the choice. Is it gonna be you, mom, or you, dad? Like, we're gonna detain one or the other, and it's usually dad. And I think that that is to put the financial pressure on the entire family to eventually leave if they don't have space to detain them as family.
ICE may have backed away from the aggressive tactics it used in cities like Chicago and Minneapolis, but it is still arresting on average 900 people per day. And there are now around 60,000 people in ICE detention centers across the U.S. The vast majority of them, more than 70%, don't have criminal convictions. A huge shift from the past, when ICE had focused on deporting convicted felons and national security threats. We go to meet Dan Jividin, a Dallas lawyer who used to prosecute immigration cases for ICE. He left during the first Trump administration, concerned by efforts to skirt constitutional rights. Now in private practice, he's been using his experience to get dozens of detainees released.
As somebody who was the deputy chief counsel at ICE, somebody who did work there for 8 years, ICE didn't keep people unless there was somebody worth keeping in detention. I told somebody once, right, they're like, well, what are the priorities right now? Well, the priorities are the arrest quotas and the deportation quotas. Has nothing to do with criminal history. And so that's the difference. The difference is the people that are supposed to be wearing the white hats aren't wearing them anymore.
As part of the Trump administration's efforts to deport 1 million people annually, it brought back a controversial policy, family detention, and it reopened a family detention center in Dilley, Texas, where it holds mothers and children whom the administration wants to deport.
This is the ICE van right here. So they're probably taking people to the detention center. The vans have these special lights and cameras on them, so you can see those on there. Possibly we're gonna follow them right to Dilley.
We're riding with Diane Garcia. She makes her weekly trip to the Dilley Detention Center to visit mothers locked inside. Garcia is the pastor of a Hispanic church in San Antonio. More than a dozen members of her congregation have been arrested by ICE in the last year and a half.
What is Dilley, How would you describe it to people who are not familiar with family detention?
Well, first, it's a prison. It's kind of a sprawling trailer complex. When I last went to Dili, I visited a woman whose son was having his birthday on that day, and you can't bring a cake. I sent a card through the mail that they didn't allow through. It was so heartbreaking to celebrate his birthday like that. The only rationale you could come up with is to create suffering, is to cause trauma, and to deter people from staying here in the country, to make them want to leave so that they don't have to go through this experience. This is it. So that's the entrance right there, and you can see, if you look down, there's a sentry. So the guard will stop us and will not want any recording done.
A court-approved guideline says minors should not be in immigration detention longer than 20 days, a guideline the Trump administration routinely ignores.
How long were we there?
I was there for exactly 141 days, 4 months.
This 16-year-old was arrested with his mother while attending a routine ICE check-in in San Antonio last September. They escaped violence in Mexico and had been living in the U.S. for close to a decade.
I was doing this kind of program to graduate early from high school too. Like all the things that I had planned, all the things that I was doing vanished because of what happened.
So day after day, you're in Dili, you have no idea when you're going to be released.
No, and that's what kills you more mentally. Because you get to a point where you think you never get out of there. The moment that I saw like this place sucks, it was when a 5-year-old literally cried on my shoulder because he didn't want to be there. He told me, I want to go back to my room. I don't want to be in this place. And I cried out because imagine watching a 5-year-old tell you those stuffs, that he misses his grandma, his room.
We spoke with several former detainees who said the conditions at Dili are harmful to children. They say there are no toys, little education, and that medical care is limited.
Can you kind of describe for me a little bit what those first days were like at Dili?
Traumáticos.
This woman, a member of Reverend Garcia's church, spent more than 2 months in Dili with her 3-year-old son.
I felt like I was a criminal and that I had killed someone.
Did the guards ever pressure you to self-deport?
Yes, as a matter of fact. The first thing that they started telling us when we arrived was that if we didn't want to be there, we should send the paperwork to self-deport.
What message do you think ICE and the administration is trying to send?
Give up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was my short answer, but give up. That's what they're trying to send. Give up.
Reverend Garcia spends more than an hour meeting with women inside Dili.
How did it go?
It was okay. It's always really hard. It's just a lot of really sad stories and very sad people. All 3 of them said lots of new families have been coming in. There's never any reason to detain children. This should not exist. This should not be happening at all. There's no rationale you could make that would justify the existence of this facility right here.
In a statement, CoreCivic, the company that runs Dili, told CBC News that claims about poor conditions at the facility are untrue. The company says it facilitates age-appropriate educational programs for child detainees. It says medical care at Dili is rigorous and that it provides trauma-informed mental health services. The statement also says nothing matters more to CoreCivic than the health, safety, and well-being of the people in our care. On the way back from Dili, we drive by Pearsall, an immigration detention center that holds nearly 1,800 people. Last year, the Trump administration ordered immigration judges to stop giving bond hearings to ICE detainees, meaning immigrants can now be locked up for months on end.
Para aqui.
Sim.
Yonkiel Lima, a Cuban immigrant, spent 10 months in Pirsal. He slept in a room with more than 60 other people who had to share 2 toilets. He says they often served him rotting food, and the guards neglected to provide medical care to the other detainees.
I felt a lot of fear sometimes because some people were fainting and they didn't care. And that's one of the things I saw the most.
In the last year, 911 dispatchers have received more than a dozen calls about self-harm and suicide attempts at the facility.
He jumped off the 2nd floor of the tier.
Okay. Did you need EMS?
Yes, he needed ASAP. He's not conscious, I don't think.
There have also been calls about alleged sexual assault by staff.
May I get a unit down to the GEO facility?
Okay, what's going on?
I just want to file a staff on detainee sexual assault.
The GEO Group, the company that runs Pirsal, did not respond to CBC's questions about conditions at the facility. In a statement, the company said, "We are proud of the role our company has played for 40 years to support the law enforcement mission of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement." 33 people died in ICE detention facilities in 2025, the highest total in more than 2 decades. And 18 people so far have died this year. Lima was released on a habeas petition, an ancient legal tool to protest unlawful detention that has become widely used again amid the surge of ICE arrests. But even free, Lima remains scarred by the experience.
I'm still fearful. I don't know how to explain it. I feel strange because of the things I've gone through, and you never know what else they might do.
Most of Gividin's practice is now devoted to filing habeas petitions for immigrants, something he did only rarely before Trump returned to the White House.
Is it a sign that there's been some kind of breakdown in constitutional norms?
I'm stunned by our society as a whole, thinking that for some reason, because you're not a citizen of this country, that means that you get locked up and detained in a cage just like a criminal. You don't even get a bond hearing. I mean, think about that. Like the Boston bomber, he gets a bond hearing, right? They have decided, you know what? These people, they don't get any due process rights. I mean, anybody who thinks that this isn't part and parcel of what is really a very scary white nationalist agenda right now, and anybody who thinks otherwise, they're not being intellectually honest with themselves.
ICE did not respond to questions from CBC News, but it has said publicly that, quote, detention is a choice and encourages detainees to self-deport. Reverend Garcia's church is in San Antonio's heavily Latino South Side, where many women are left raising families on their own while husbands and partners are in ICE detention or have already been deported. On this Sunday,
Te pedimos por ellos, especialmente por Jefferson y por Fabián.
a prayer for those in detention.
Te pedimos por los que están.
She says, open the path to freedom to all those detained.
So you heard Jonathan mention that some 60,000 people are currently being detained by ICE. A new study estimates the total number detained during the second Trump administration is about 400,000. Well, coming up, Canada's iconic Snowbirds set for one final summer in the skies.
You have left a legacy that will endure far beyond the final flight of the Tudor.
How the pride of the Air Force became a national treasure. Next. Canada's aerial ambassadors have entertained folks for decades at home and abroad, but the planes are now too old and new planes haven't yet been built.
We just really hope this isn't the end of the Snowbirds.
Why some fear a piece of the national fabric might be ripped irreparably. Lindsay Duncombe explains why some ardent fans worry that even if a show eventually returns, it might never be the same.
There's fear and frustration for supporters of Canada's Snowbirds.
It's terrible. This is a failure in leadership, full stop. It's very frustrating.
Mark Miller is an aviation journalist and filmmaker.
I think our big fear is they say they have a replacement airplane. It's coming somewhere in the next 5 years. The question is, will there be some other priority that will come up? Will they find a reason not to do it? You know, we just really hope this isn't the end of the Snowbirds. Really important part of our country and our culture.
With an engine screaming inches from your head and a boss chanting commands in your helmet.
Miller made this 2002 documentary about the team. He wishes the military had new planes in place before it grounded the old ones.
Why there wasn't more planning in place to make sure there was overlap.
Canada's Snowbirds have been entertaining crowds since 1971. The team performs between 40 and 60 shows a year at big events and tiny air shows. Miller remembers seeing the show when he was 8 in Edmonton.
I remember the sound and I remember the red. I remember the red suits. And I remember saying to my dad, I said, that's kind of what I would like to do. I never made it, but I certainly dreamed of it.
The shows are a recruitment tool for the military, something Miller captured in his film.
When I was 9 years old, I went to see the Canadian National Exhibition and I saw the Snowbirds. 25 years later, I finally made it. Took me a while, but I got here.
Why would you get rid of your marketing department?
What we need is good personnel. And I'm not just talking about numbers, I'm talking about quality. And the Snowbirds on a new aircraft, especially in the future, on a new jet aircraft, boy, that's the best advertisement you can have for the Canadian Forces.
Dan Dempsey is a former Snowbird commander. He's worried about what a 5-year hiatus will mean for recruiting. But that's not all Snowbird alumni don't like about today's announcement.
As a national flag carrier, we just don't think it's the right airplane.
The Defense Department chose a Swiss-made turboprop plane to replace the current Tudor jets. The new planes can't do as many tricks.
There's the power of the aircraft to start with. Vertical maneuvering would be a little bit more challenging. You can't do some of the higher zooms.
And even when the new planes are here, teams will have to be trained from scratch.
Because the team will have been sitting on the ground for several years, people can't expect that the show is going to be the same in the near term. It's going to take a long time to work up back to it.
So Dempsey encourages Canadians to go out and see the Snowbirds this summer while they still can.
The Snowbirds are scheduled to take off for their final summer exhibition next Sunday in Montreal. Their 6-month run will end in California in October. Well, coming up, one handyman solution to high fuel costs.
It works the same. I can collect all my groceries. The only thing I can't do is pick up my kids or something.
You know he did this. His transformation of Barbie's dream camper. Next in our moment. This is Molly Hightower pulling up to the pump in style. He clearly is finding some creative ways to beat the high gas prices in Atlanta, Georgia. Sorry, I cannot stop smiling. Hightower transformed a Barbie dream camper made for kids into a vehicle for himself. His handiwork makes our moment.
The Barbie Jeep is just a little mini car that I've made because gas is so crazy. I have a minivan. Now during how the gas has been, it's about almost 55, 60 to fill up. I might as well just get in the Barbie car then.
If I can get $1 on pump 6, that'd be great.
So it has a 2-gallon tank. Probably takes about $2, maybe $3 to fill it up right now. If I have a $10 budget, you might can catch me in another state. I just started cutting all of the things that I didn't need out. I have to do some custom welding. It has functioning pedals, gas, stop, the brakes, the steering wheel, kept the doors and the pink color. People are like, did you steal that from your daughter? I specifically bought the Barbie for this idea. She goes about 55 miles an hour. When people are seeing it riding, they're looking at, I know they're looking at their car like, well, how is this thing keeping up? It works the same. I can collect all my groceries. The only thing I can't do is pick up my kids or something. So it may look a little weird, but I'm pretty comfortable in there.
have so many questions like seatbelt, airbags, license plate, registration, insurance. He says that he's been stopped by the cops a few times, that they kind of like it, and he sort of knows to stay off the highway, and everything, he says, is cool. And yes, he built one for his wife. So Barbie and Ken head out on their weekend jaunts all the time. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.